Today we're going to look at the 2015 Chrysler 300. Oh, wait a minute. It says Genesis on the hood. Well, it's easy to understand the confusion. I mean, you have this big cheese grater grill down here. Where have I seen that before? And you have this headless bird decal. Where have we seen that before? And along with the Hyundai Genesis, there are an awful lot of headless bird decals out there on other cars. Let's take a look. Let's see, on a Chrysler 300, you've got a wide grille and a headless bird on the front. And here's the original headless bird from Aston Martin. Funny how popular this is. And a headless bird on the Chrysler 300 steering wheel. And another headless bird on the Bentley. And we have a headless bird decal on the Genesis steering wheel. And the Hyundai Genesis even has headless bird decals on the wheels. Haven't seen that before. Okay, my message to Hyundai. We do not need any more headless bird decals on cars. My message to other car manufacturers. We don't need any more headless bird decals on cars. Now, while I think the front end resembles the Chrysler 300 a bit too much, not so in the case of the rear. Actually, I see a lot of BMW 7 Series and Audi back here. Now, in all fairness, I'm just having some fun here needling the copycat styling, but it's no big deal because the Koreans have made a career out of copying other cars and making them better for a lower price. And it's a formula that's worked because Hyundai is making money hand over fist. So we won't worry about the outside styling anymore. We'll concentrate ourselves on the interior design and how this car drives. Now, under the hood is a 6-cylinder engine with 3.8 liters, rated at 311 horsepower, gas mileage at 19 to 29 miles per gallon. If you get the all-wheel drive option for driving in snowy conditions, it drops to 16 to 25 miles per gallon. A big drop, so I'd be careful about getting that unless you really need it. For big spenders, there is a 5.0 V8 putting out 420 horsepower. Both engines are hooked to an 8-speed automatic transmission, but in this case we got the V6 over the V8, so that's what we'll be driving today. Now, the base price on these is $38,000. Mine was loaded up with 3 option packages, one for $4 grand, one for $3.5 grand, another $3.5 grand. A list way too long to read here. But long story short, this vehicle had everything you can get except the all-wheel drive system or the V8 engine, and topped out at just under $50,000. That's why the interior is going to look very, very nice when we get inside. Obviously, I'm sitting in the back seat. There's plenty of room here. And this tan leather is very nice looking. Nice looking console too. This cabin is first class all the way. Well, okay, almost all the way. Fake wood. Come on, guys. This isn't 1970. Give me some fake aluminum. Please, no more fake wood. Now, one thing that really bothers me about other car manufacturers is when they sell you these expensive leather seats, but they still smell and look like plastic. Not here. This is very high quality leather, and it smells like leather, as you would expect, like you get many of the European cars. And these seats are excellent. These headrests are the best I've ever seen on any production car. Perfect. Got a very nice gauge cluster, and all these steering wheel controls are easy to use. Some more easy to use buttons down here on the left. Very simple controls for climate, considering this is a luxury car. Fan speed, temperature. You don't need to read the owner's manual to operate this. Simple radio controls. And the typical knob push button system, which is very easy to use for the navigation in the home system, which has all your settings like this. I've had no problem using this without the owner's manual. That's a good sign. Try that on some of the big German cars. Decent sized glove box. And this is the most important button here, the drive mode. You press that, and it chooses between normal operation, eco operation, or sport mode. And the transmission shifts very aggressively in the sport mode. So for regular commuting, I suggest the normal mode. And a nice center console that holds lots of stuff. And of course the Genesis headless bird on the steering wheel that we saw earlier. Now before we go out for a spin in the Genesis, there is one aggravation I found, which seems to be common on most Korean cars from Hyundai and Kia, and that's the way the dash reflects in the windshield when the sun's hitting it. Here I'm seeing a speaker. Here I'm seeing the projection screen reflection. Over here the air vents are being reflected. This is very annoying when you're driving in the wrong direction on a sunny day, and many manufacturers have eliminated this problem right off the bat, and the Koreans need to learn how to do this. And there's the biggest one up in there, another stereo speaker. They really need to do something about this. But if you live in Alaska where you never see the sun, I guess it won't be a problem. Of course, for those who like all that glare and sun, you just press this button. And there's lots of sky and sun to look at. Now, as a rule, Asian cars have always lagged behind the Europeans as far as suspension design, but that's not an issue here. This car has a very smooth ride, yet the handling is excellent, with excellent brakes too. It's right on par up there with some of the BMW, Mercedes, Audi, and Jaguar cars. They really did their homework on this one. And naturally, I wanted the big V8, which hits 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, but this does it close to around 6.5. I'm not going to miss the V8. And this is a very smooth engine. I think they must have copied Acura or Honda, but I don't know that. But that's a compliment anyway. If you're looking for a vehicle to take long highway trips, the Hyundai Genesis is right up your alley. You really don't need that big V8. The V6 offers all the passing power you need. In the normal mode, this suspension is very comfortable. The car is very quiet. We're talking about a car that drives like many of the upper class European cars I mentioned earlier. A very nice, pleasant vehicle to drive. Now, the Hyundai Genesis has those high output headlights, so we're going to take a drive out here at night and see how they work. Now here we have the Genesis high beams on. Fantastic light, really goes out there. Low beams, it's a mixed bag. We do have a lot of light, but it cuts off low on the ground. So if you're on back roads where there are a lot of dips and wildlife, you might want to keep the brights on. But this is fine for city driving and most highway speeds. Now the Genesis has another feature. When you're going away from the car, getting into the car, you see this on the pavement. Oops, went out. It's kind of pointless, but it's cool looking. Let's try that again. There we go. Now everybody will know you're driving a Genesis. If they're wandering around in the dark at night, that is. Now there's one option I do not like on cars, and that's a radar-operated cruise control. It just encourages lame driving, and for other reasons I won't mention here because it's not about cruise control, it's about the car. Now this Hyundai does have the radar cruise control option package, which I have, but fortunately I'm not complaining because by pushing a button you can go to manual cruise control, which is the cruise control I like. So you have a choice. The complicated system or the simple system. I choose the latter. So thank you, Hyundai. And since we're looking at the dash here, my best gas mileage is 25.6, doing 75 miles per hour on an uphill grade. Around the city I was getting around 18, but I was doing a lot of heavy pedal pushing and a lot of passing. So realistically, we're doing 18 to 26 thus far. Now, driving the Genesis at night, you can see how the low beam headlights are cutting off too abruptly. I can't see too much. So you're driving on back roads like this where there's wildlife, low, high. You need to keep the high beams on as much as possible. You don't want to run over a moose. Now, this Genesis isn't the Mercedes or BMW, but I'm telling you, the handling on these tight roads, it's pretty close. In the sport mode, this vehicle really stays on the curves. And that engine power makes it even more fun. And who would think I'm driving a Hyundai? You know, 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, if you told people that the Koreans would be selling cars in this upper level price bracket, they think you were crazy. But it's happening today, and they're doing a very good job of it too. Hyundai's come a long way. This is an excellent, excellent car. If you're buying a vehicle in this price category, you really should give it a test drive. Plus, they toss in a headless bird with big wings at no extra charge.